Hello, this is Mrs. Neubauer, and let's work on our penmanship. So, what word allows you to take away 2 letters and you get 1? Stone. Take away the ST, you're left with ONE. Okay, lesson goal number 13. Finally, we're going to take all of our lowercase letters and with a little bit of letter spacing, make words. So, lots to do for this lesson. This lesson might take you 2 days, but the goal is the same, making sure we're going to write letters next to each other. Okay, so what do I mean by this? I have my little example. So you can see on the top, I have my A and my P, but oh no, what happened between P and P? It's not big sad face. Too much space. So with cursive, remember we're just continuously writing, so you can definitely tell you did way too much space there. But also what happens is people don't do not enough space and they write letters really close to each other. So barely any space between the P and the L. So it's another sad face. And then between the L and the E, the same thing. Way too much space. Another sad face. Okay, the example at the bottom is just right. So we have our A, we got some space, we got our P, we got some space, we got our P, we got some space, we got our L, we got some space, we got our E. So we got happy faces, nice spacing, good. So that's what the goal is today. Now, we're going to continue to write words, and we're going to trace them, and you're going to try them on your own, and we're going to start with other sizes, just like our last lesson. We're going to do large, medium, small, and wide rule. So there's a big challenge today, not only doing the letter spaces, but also doing them at different sizes. So hopefully you're up for the challenge. I'll switch cameras, and we can get started. Okay, so you're going to have lots of sheets today. Lesson 13 is going to have 13A. That's going to be the letter spacing with large words. Then we have 13B is going to be the medium. 13C is a small, and then 13D is the wide rule. So we have a lot of sheets to print off with the video. I just printed off the first one of each one to show you. So you're going to be able to work on your own. Okay, so just like I showed on our lesson, we're going to work on letter spacing. So I wrote each of our words twice, and then there's hopefully, sometimes there's not going to be enough room, you can write your word twice, depending on the amount of letters in the word. Okay, so just like we said, you're going to have nice letter spacing, about the same amount in between. And some words are going to change your letter size, but instead of looking up here, you would see here we have a nice space because of the loop of the L. Okay, so take your pen or pencil, make sure you're giving me L, nice good posture, you warmed up your hand, and you have your pen or pencil like a tripod, not too close to the bottom, not too far away, but just right in the middle, good control. Okay, so let's connect our letters to make words. So we're going to start with apple. You're going to come up for your A. We got the lowercase staying between the dashed line and the bottom line. Okay, and curve down. And we have a nice space as we come up. And just kind of like a natural space that occurs once you practice. You don't have the same amount of space as the actual width of the letter, but you have a good space next to it. Usually, if we're looking at the dashes, usually like 2 dashes. Come down. In cursive, we can continuously write our letters. And we did our when we did our lowercase letter video lessons, you did practice writing letters next to each other. So now we're actually forming words, if that makes sense. Okay, once again, try your apple. And then you're going to try it on your own. So as you write on your own, I'm going to skip the trace. You can do your trace. I just want to be able to write and show you, just like we did on our video. Okay, so let's start with the letter A. And then remember, we're not lifting our pen or pencil. We're going to continue to write and come down and curve up and come down and end. Okay, So we have, remember that's about a 2 space, so when we write our P, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to have 2 spaces and come up. So just about the same space there. Come down straight. And then we're going to have 2 spaces. Good. And come on up. And then our loop letter L, come back. And a little lowercase loop letter E. One big continuous space. Whoopsie. Oh, that happens. We have a little bit of space here and the same amount of space. So because of the loop letter, your space might change a little bit. Okay, so we're going to practice berry. So I said before with bees. So the nice thing about this lesson is you're going to be writing letters next to each other and practicing how they look. So when we have our B, remember bees stay up, they don't go back down to the bottom line. So we're going to go a little bit down and do our E, and then come down, do our R. Remember R comes a little bit above, comes down to that dashed line, and a nice down, give it a little space. Okay, so lots of stuff going on. This is definitely an advanced lesson. It's going to take you a few days. And our Y. Okay, so putting all our letters together, we practiced in forming words. So you're going to continue the same thing, trace it over, and then try on your own. And this is our large. Okay, I'm just going to move ahead. I went through all of these and work on our medium. Okay, so the medium, we're going to have colors and numbers to practice. So medium, just like our lesson 12, it's a little bit smaller. You can see goes down in size. You can see it's getting a little smaller, doing our letters. And the same applies with our letter spacing. So this time we have aqua, so we have definitely got to practice our cues. So same thing, start with your A to the dashed line. And students always tell me they have a little easier time once they get away from the large because it's a lot to write that big. So once you get to a smaller size, cursive gets a little easier. So hopefully that's the same thing for you. Everybody likes the medium and small because it's a lot less writing. Okay, so remember our Q goes a descender down and curves back with our loop. And we have a nice space for our U. And then we write our U. And then our space for our A. A's are hard because you have to go back and then you have to go forward. And sometimes the space is a little iffy, but that's why you're practicing. Good, so trace over and then we'll try one on our own. I'm just trying to see the hardest one to try. Let's do black together. So if you practice aqua, we're going to go black. Let's not trace over it. I'm actually going to write it for the spacing just to show you what it looks like. Okay, so just like our B, our B is one of our loop letters. Come on up, loop down, bring it back. And we have our exit stroke. So remember we stay up. You want to have a little space and then do your loop of your L and come back. Okay, now we have an A. We're going to practice lots of A's. A is a vowel we use in a lot of words. A. Okay, now you're going to go down and then you're going to make your C. The same thing, you're going to go over with your C, have a little space, come back, touch, and then the same thing with our K. We're going to go up, have a little space, do our loop at the top, another loop letter, down, touch. Going to go over on the side, that weird K that we don't do in other letters, touch, and down. Okay, so you're trying to make sure you're doing the same amount of space. And they're not too little close together and they're not too wide. And this is a little bit of a challenging goal. Okay, so you have a whole alphabet of words for medium you're going to practice. And then we have our small. So small is going to be pets or animals. I can't remember. I guess people could have alligators as pets. I don't know about the elephant. I guess maybe if you lived in a place who had a lot of elephants. Elephants are big, so you'd have to have a really big yard. I'm just being funny. Okay, so we have our small, remember 13C is small, and we're going to practice the same thing. So we went from medium, you can see the A to the small, getting smaller, definitely getting smaller. Okay, so let's see what word looks like we should practice. Ooh, jellyfish looks fun. Let's do jellyfish. Okay, so the same thing. You're going to trace over. Try some on your own. Try 1 or 2 on your own. Trace over some on your own. And then let's try jellyfish. Okay, so after you practice tracing jellyfish, let's try jellyfish. Jellyfish has a lot of loop letters in there. Oh my gosh. Other than the I and the S, all of them are loop letters. Okay. So let's leave a little space by your jellyfish. So remember, curve and come up. We're going to work on our J. Down, we got a loop. And then we have our E. Okay, make sure you got a nice amount of space. And then we got to go to our L, because we bring it over. And then we bring our L over. Nice space. We got our Y. Okay, so the thing is you got to work on the letters and the space. In between, try to think of 2 dashes each time, 2 dashes. All right, we got our I and our S. Remember, S kind of goes above that dash line and comes back, and our H. So what you do is you kind of go on a diagonal over. You're going to go on a diagonal over to get your diagonal over. Diagonal over, just so you can like push the space. The last thing, remember cursive, is you go back and you dot your I's and your J's, if you have them. Cross your T's or your X's. Okay, and then the last one for today, that's why I said it's going to take a few days, is the wide rule. So even more challenging. So remember, this is the wide rule paper that we have. And even smaller. So each time, if I have all of them together, they go down about the same amount for each one. So, oops, I can't see my A on this one. Move that over so you can see the A's. Okay, so A large, A medium, A small, A wide rule. All right, so we have fruit. Okay, so the same thing, you're going to trace over, and it's a lot easier to trace when it's this small. You're going to go through this wide rule probably faster than the large letters, but it's a lot harder to control that size, so you might be struggling with the size. And the same thing, after you trace over the 2, you're going to write, and you have lots of space on this one. So we got our A for apple. All right, write nice and small. We got to give some space. We got our P. Still have my 2 dashes, even though they're smaller. Gonna bring it over to my 2 dashes. Come down. Gonna go over on a diagonal because of my L, and then bring it up into a loop. 2 dash space, and another smaller loop for my E. And we're end. So we never picked up our pen. Continuous. Working on this space, doing our best. All right, so lots to do today on this lesson. Okay, so this is going to be a long lesson day. It might take you a few days to do. You could just work maybe on 13A for a day, 13B for a day, 13C, or you could do 1 page of each one. It's up to you. Just continue to trace, because that's going to help with muscle memory and looking at the space. And then try some on your own when you feel comfortable with the space. I know you're probably like, oh, I'm so sick of tracing, but it helps you not only to read it as a space, and then it goes in your memory, so when you write apple again, you'll be writing it at that same consistent space. So that's why I'm giving you a wide variety of words and to work on, because you're going to work on different combinations too. So this is going to be a hard lesson, and I have a feeling you're going to get through it, and you're going to be great doing it too. And just remember to keep practicing, and progress over perfection. Have a good day.